Greetings, Jay Stone here, host of the Cap and Ball Fanatic channel. Welcome back, or if you're stumbling in for the first time, welcome to the Cap and Ball Fanatic channel. In this week's video, we're going to be shooting some big iron. This is a Colt Dragoon, as Rooster Cogburn called it in the True Grit movies. It's a replica made by Uberti. It's the second model, which I'll talk about later. I've never fired this. I just got it a little while ago. So stay with us today while either I put this gun through its paces or it puts me through mine. Let's get started. Greetings. Before we shoot this thing, second model Dragoon that I have here, let's talk about him for just a minute. I'm going to do a Reader's Digest version. The Dragoon came along in 1848 sort of to replace the Walker, which was really too heavy, had a 9-inch barrel, held 60 grains of powder, and the cylinders used to explode for a lot of different reasons. Some of it's just the metallurgy quality at the time. So in 1848, Samuel Colt developed the Dragoon, originally for the regiment of mounted soldiers and the Dragoon cavalry. And in that period, that 12-year period that it was out, it had three models. And the first model was the original, and that lasted for about 2 years, from 1848 to 1850. I have the second model Dragoon, which holds onto the square back trigger guard, which is the reason that I have it. Unlike the first model, which still had the spring that held up the loading lever, this has a latch that's in the front that's kind of awkward and doesn't do a very good job, but at least it was an improvement. And they changed the stop notches on the cylinder from ovals to squares. And then, so the second model was out for 2 years, and in 1851 they came out with the third model, which offered some more options. Went back to the rounded trigger guard that so many people like, but I don't. And then it was finally displaced as the gun of choice, as the 44 caliber revolver of choice by the 1860 Army after the Civil War began. Of course, the Dragoon in 1848 also led to the Baby Dragoon, which was the forerunner of the 1849 pocket pistol, which became the highest selling Colt revolver of the period. So we're gonna take a look at this. It's a fine gun. It's a heavy gun. I've been told that the loading levers still pop on these like they did on the Walker. I can understand why it would with this front latch. You can sort of feel it but I'm also read and have seen that a period correct way of fixing this is you take a piece of rawhide and wrap it around the barrel, and the one that you can take off really easily when you want to reload. And so if I have that problem with this, that'll be the fix that I'll use because it's a little more period correct. So that's a little background on the Dragoon. So let's get this bad boy loaded up and see how we do. Okay, so for today, I'm going to use I'm loading it the following way. I'm using Schutzen 3F powder. I'm going to use 35 grains of Schutzen 3F powder. I'm going to shoot 44 caliber lubed wads and 457 round balls. And so let's load up a chamber and see how she goes. Again, remember, I've never shot this before, so this ought to be interesting today. I'm assuming it's going to shoot really high like they all do. So we'll pour in the powder. We'll put in our wad. Get it started down nice. We'll take a 457 round ball home cast. Put it right on top with the sprue up. Rotate it under the loading lever. Pick it up. And push it down. Yep. And we get a nice lead ring from that 457. I think a 454 ball would be too small. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put 5 more in there. I'll cap it up and I'll meet you outside and we'll... All right. First shots with my Colt Dragoon by Uberti. Cap must not have been seated. Here's the one. That's not bad, although this is a pain. I want you to know this is a pain. They say the spring loading was supposed to solve that problem. Well, at 35 grains, guess what? It doesn't. So maybe we'll knock our load down a bit and see what happens. Let's load up and try again. All right, let's try another cylinder full. I backed the powder down from 35 to 30 to see if that holds the loading latch on. Although, you know, as much as a pain in the butt as that is, that's what they faced back in the day. So it's part of the historical experience, I guess. All right, round 3 on paper at 15 yards. Get my ear protection right. I gotta tell you, this weight of this gun, shooting one-handed, is gonna take some getting used to. I think I might have to start going to the gym in order to shoot my Dragoon. Well, let's see what happens. All right, let's shoot some steel. I backed up a little bit. I'm at about 17, 18 yards. Let's see if I can hit steel. I've got a new steel target about 10 yards back, so this is going to be about 28 yards. Let's see, and it's kind of thin, so let's see if I can do it. Got it, I think. Sounded like it. We'll check on the video. Got it. You know, this Dragoon is a pretty straight shooter once you figure out your point of aim. Let's try it again. I missed that one. First one I've missed. Let's try that little one. Got it. And let's try the long one again. If I get this twice, it's a lucky shot at 28, 29 yards. Wow. Having some fun. This is a good shooting gun. The loading lever's a pain, but it would have been a pain to Gus McCrae and Josie Wales too. So what am I complaining about? Greetings, Jay Stone here again for our after action discussion of our work today with the Uberti made Colt Dragoon second model. This beautiful square back trigger. You know that it's amazing what we get attached to, right? That's one of my big ones. So anyways, let's talk about what we did. I put 36 shots through this thing today for the first time. I had never shot it. I had taken it out of the box and I had cleaned it, and I had stripped it down and cleaned it and taken some burrs out and all of that nonsense. But I had not shot this pistol or this revolver before today. So what we did is, as you saw in the video, we put 3 on a paper target, 3 cylinders on a paper target, and I put 16 of the 18 on this paper target from 15 yards, which for me is pretty darn good. And then we put 2 on the steel targets, including the one at 29 yards, which is only about 10 inches wide, and the fact that I hit those tells me something. Now, let's take a look at this, because I performed the string test on this, and the string test, as you recall, I'll reference it in the program notes, the video that I did explaining it in full. But the string test is, I'm trying to find on an average how far I am from where I'm trying to hit. I'm trying to hit here. Now, what I learned is that I was aiming about right here, about 2 inches below the target, and that's where this was coming. When I got up into here, I was aiming at below the target. So remember, this started with the very first cylinder. So the 2 shots that are off the paper were among my first 3 or 4 shots. And once I started inching down a little bit, and found the point of aim, you can see by the last couple cylinders, we were tearing this red dot up pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. So of the 16 shots, aiming about right here, if you added the distance from the red dot to each one of these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them there. Of the 16 shots on paper, I came up with a total inch number from the center of 39 inches divided by 16 shots. Put me at an average mean distance from my point of aim is 2.44 inches. And as I've said in other videos, at 15 yards with any gun, if I can get under 3 inches on an average, no matter how many shots I put on this target, that's a victory for me today. So what I found is that this thing, once I figured out my aim off point, and it worked on steel targets as well, this is a real accurate piece. I started with 35 grains, blew the loading lever down, and I know that's a problem with these. In fact, for those of you out there that have Dragoons, I'd really like to hear from you in the comments what you have done, if anything at all, to try to stop that loading lever from falling down. I mean, I dropped the powder charge down to about 30 grains, and it fixed it about 50% of the time. I suppose I could drop it down to 25 because I'm just target shooting, and see if that takes care of it. But you know, the other side of this coin is, as much as a pain in the butt as that is, and as much as I don't like to have to put my hand up in front of the cylinder, make sure your finger's out of the trigger guard, by the way. I almost didn't do that the first time I fixed that, and that could become ugly if you leave your finger on the trigger and fix that trigger guard. So make sure you're safe when you do that. But as much of a pain in the butt as that is, and it is a pain in the butt, and those of you that have these know, or walkers, you know what I'm talking about. That is what they had to confront back in the day. And of course, if I'm putting 50 grains in here, if I'm in a battle, or if I'm in a gunfight, or if I'm in the Civil War, I'm shooting 50 grains, that's going to be a problem, because the first time on video, if you remember, when I thought I had a cap jam, what I really had was the ramrod, the loading ramrod was down inside of one of the chambers, and I couldn't spin the chamber. So, you know, if I'm being here on the range at home, where I'm not afraid of anything necessarily, it's no big deal. But if I'm in the middle of a gunfight, or if I'm in a battle, that would have been a real pain, and it might have cost me my life. So I understand why that was a problem. But now, so to sort of sum it up, it's a heavy gun, right? Like I said at some point, I think I'm going to need to work out. But you know, as I got to using it, it shook less, and it was easier to handle once I figured out the leverage. It's got good balance. The 7.5 barrel really helps me, and I think the square back trigger really helps me find good balance with it. Once I got used to shooting it, the first couple that I missed, I felt myself jerk it when, you know, to pull the trigger, and it was doing with this a little bit, which shows what peak physical condition I'm in. But other than that, it was a really good revolver, and are a lot of fun, and I'm anxious to take it in the future. I'm going to do more videos with it. I'm going to take it over to the club, and I'm going to see if I can't, what it's like shooting long range. What I mean by long range is 50, 70, 75, 100 yards. We have targets over there I can try that on, and I'm going to do that with some of my other revolvers as well. And I'll also bring it out and compare different powder charges on the chronograph at some point coming up in the future, as long as the weather holds, as beautiful as it is today. So listen, again, if you learned anything in this video, if there's anything that's valuable to you, hit that like button and help us out. If you like what you see, subscribe to the Cap and Ball Fanatic channel. Tell your friends about us by sharing our videos whenever you can. And we'll see you again on down the road the next time.